We'll stop recording and start recording on the next one. The next one will be courts and public safety.
And with that, I will call the Courts and Public Safety Committee to order for July 7th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
9 present.
With that, let's move on to item number 3 on the agenda. Approval of the minutes of our meeting of June 2, 2020.
So move.
Support.
Questions or comments with respect to those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
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 Those say no. Motion passes. Next is items for consideration. The first one is CPS /07-24 from Emergency Services to accept the 2019.
Point of order, was there any public comment on these agenda items?
Mr. Chairman, I think you forgot public comment on agenda items.
I'm sorry. Is there any comment on an agenda item? Thank you, Commissioner.
I do not see any raised hands.
All right, with that, we will move on to items for consideration, which is CPS 20/07-24 from Emergency Services.
So moved.
So move. Support.
Is there comments? No questions?
I
Go
do
ahead.
have a question on 24. I am wondering what equipment, the agreement talks about the equipment and the ownership of it, but what equipment are we actually talking about?
Rich Warner, could you respond to the question?
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, this is the agreement between us and our fiduciary. Anything we buy, the fiduciary is in charge of making sure we follow the guidance of the Homeland Security grant. And we have bought several pieces of equipment for our law enforcement, our fire, and other agencies.
So the equipment, what, were you finished, Rich? Or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're
Nope.
going to continue. So
No, go ahead.
So it talks about the equipment that we purchased, but the ownership, if I understand this correctly, belongs to the Department of Homeland Security and has to refer back to them. Is that correct?
If we were to sell a piece of equipment that was bought with grant dollars, that money has to go back to the state or to purchase other grant-approved equipment.
Okay.
And that's for Region 6 of the Homeland Security, and that's 13 different counties.
Right.
So all of the equipment purchased, basically, it's purchased through a grant, and then if we decide we don't need it or something happens and we get rid of it, we have to donate the proceeds or the money spent on the grant back to the grant writer, basically, if I understand this correct.
Yeah, pretty much like that. Let's say we have a piece of equipment that that we no longer use or need, or maybe it's no longer serviceable. We can get that what I call decommissioned, so we can get rid of it.
Okay.
I don't know if any time we've ever, in my 10 years of emergency management, ever gotten rid of a piece of equipment that was still worthy of being operational. We typically keep things until they are no longer serviceable.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all those, should we have a roll call on this? Yes. Roll call, please.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion passes. Next is CPS 20/7-25 from the Public Defender. To authorize the Public Defender's Office to solicit bids and proposals for contracts with private attorneys to handle negligent use delinquency cases.
So moved.
Support.
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 I'd like a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought we were trying to get away from the private practice attorney contracts, and that's when we established the public defender's office. And I'm wondering why we're going back to that, because people typically didn't get good representation under that method.
Hi, this is Nanda Matir from the Public Defender's Office. And the answer to that is, so for every neglect and abuse case, we typically need at least 3 attorneys, one for the mom, one for the dad, and one for the child, sometimes more if there are multiple fathers or multiple mothers.
Mhm.
The Public Defender's Office, we are on essentially every one of those cases, but we need additional attorneys to represent the additional parties. So that's why we still have to use private practice attorneys, because there's more than one attorney on each of those cases. It's not like our criminal cases where we only have one defense attorney, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sort of.
I have a question too, if that's all right. Amanda, is this just for juveniles, or would this be for vulnerable adults too?
This would not include the vulnerable adults. We do handle those cases, but that goes through the probate court.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yep, and David Williams in our office handles most of those.
Okay.
If we do have a conflict, I'm not sure. I'm assuming between our office and the courts, we find someone else who knows how to handle those cases.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question if I may.
Go ahead.
This is for fiscal year 2021. We're currently doing this in fiscal year 2020, correct?
Correct.
Are you expecting for the same contractors to provide service, or are you thinking there will be different people bidding on this process? And if so, do you think the cost will go up? And will it be in your 2021 budget?
I think the majority of the people who are doing the work will continue to want to do the work. I think there are some people in the legal community who currently don't have contracts, but they may be interested. The reason we're doing the bidding process is because the procurement division has advised me that it's best practice to do it every 5 years, the bidding process. And I that's based on policy they're aware of. I'm not fluent in it, but I've talked to Jamie Burmeister in procurement. That is best practice to do the bidding process every 5 years. So do I think it'll go up? No. Procurement has told me that we don't necessarily have to take the highest or the lowest bid. And based on the bidding process, as long as once the people who put a bid in, if I make sure they meet the minimum requirements, they have a law license, they have some experience with this type of law, then we can negotiate the price as well. So that's my concern too. And procurement has told me that we should be safe in that part. In addition, we do have a grant, a reimbursable grant coming in for neglect abuse cases too with the state of Michigan and the feds.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes,
9 yes.
and that motion passes. Next up,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
looks like 26, 27, 28 are inclusive with the same grant. Can we put those together? They're all regarding the same issue, just different townships, but
The PINS program, yes.
yeah.
I
Oh,
think that
yes.
would be,
Except, Mr. Chair, each of the amounts are different.
yep, that's correct. And we've always adopted them as separate entities.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it'd be a good idea because of the different funding.
okay.
Right.
Thanks for trying to move us along there, Charles.
Well, let's, I'm not going, I'll read the first one, and that is the current Partnership and Neighborhood Safety Program agreement expired on March 31, 2020. Met with Eggleston Township Supervisor and all parties to the agreement wish to extend 1/2 of the cost of the deputy assigned to their township and operating expenses for the county paying the other half. The total estimated cost for the program for Eggleston Township for the next contract period is $126,605, with the township paying $63,302.50 and the county paying the same amount. Approval of the agreement is now being requested.
So moved.
Support.
Any
have a-
questions or comments?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I have my question. I have two questions. One, if this expired in March, how come it's not coming to us until July? And second, is this $126,605 from March 31st, or is it from now?
Well, as it's written, it says for the next contract period, which would I assume be from the date that this is adopted.
So who's paying for the cost from March 31st when it expired till now? Is the sheriff gonna have to eat that?
No, Commissioner Hughes, if I may, no, we're not. These actually typically get approved in April by the township, but things were slowed down. So these contracts run April to April.
Okay, this will be an April to April contract.
Yeah, the amount that's on there, 50/50, is what we will pay, no more.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Okay, so it's the COVID crisis that's really postponed the adoption, I assume.
And not just this, a lot of things.
Right.
Certainly understandable. Thank you, Sheriff.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question, John? Why was the motion that you read different than my motion?
The summary was read.
Yeah, he read the summary.
Summary.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Bob?
It does, but okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we're going to vote on CPS 20/07-26. All those, roll call, please.
Commissioner Laring.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
9 yes.
And if you would move on to the next one, please, for me.
I will make a motion to approve the one-year extension of the agreement for the Partnership and Neighborhood Safety Program between Fruitland Township and Muskegon County Sheriff.
Support.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
9 yes.
And that motion passes for 20/7/27. Next is CPS 20/0728 from the sheriff.
I'll move to approve the one-year extension for Laketon Township and the Muskegon County Sheriff in the amount of $63,831.75.
Support.
Second. Harvey Wright.
Thank you both. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Wait, I'm sorry.
we're voting on 29.
Okay, and was I,
28.
We're voting on 28.
Sorry, 28.
okay, did you just call on me? I was reading.
I did.
the motion. Okay, yes. Sorry.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
9 yes.
That motion passes. Next is CPS 20/07-29 from the sheriff to approve the application for grant funding to pay hazard pay premiums to eligible first responders within the sheriff's office.
So move.
So moved.
I have a question.
We need a support.
Did you call on me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So several meetings back, the sheriff reported that there were no COVID cases in the jail and that they were not doing any testing of either the staff or the inmate. So this seems like unnecessary if they're not really dealing with that hardship. If that's changed, we need to know about it. He reported no cases and no testing.
Sheriff, will you respond?
I would like to, but I guess I don't know how to. These individuals that we're asking for this stipend for come to work every day. They don't get to, you've heard me say it before, social distancing is not part of their work that they get to do. You know, they're hands-on with individuals as they're coming into the facility and our officers that are working out on the road. This grant opportunity, the Senate bill, which was signed by the governor last week, this is a first come, first served grant, if you will, and affords these individuals that have been here working every day since March 12th on the front lines, protecting our community. And, you know, the fact to state that because we haven't had any reported COVID-19 persons infected inside the jail, as far as the inmate goes, like I said before, I don't win a prize. I don't get a prize for not having people in there. Does it mean it hasn't happened? No, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but nobody's asked for the test. And, you know, it's offered for those individuals that come in, that say they're symptomatic. We send them to the hospital if we need to. My staff has worked very hard. I'm very proud of them for the protocols and the things that they set up to make sure that this doesn't happen here. I can't say enough how proud I am of the work that they've been doing. And to question the fact that the work that they're doing is not hazardous alone because there are no cases there is actually an insult to those people.
Well, it's not meant to be an insult. It's just, you know, if there's not a problem, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to support this, and it's not that I don't support hazard pay for first response. But I know that there are a number of groups that are trying to meeting with the sheriff and concerned about some of the ways that people in the jail are treated. And I think as long as that's an unfinished business and not resolved, I would like, my vote will be a no.
Mr. Chairman, may I? Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I feel it's our role as commissioners to stand behind our sheriff. He has went above and beyond doing a great job for this county and moving it forward. To even say no on this is a slap in the face, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
Yes.
I do have a comment. I have a comment.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Philistine.
Go ahead, Commissioner Rillstein.
My concern is, I know I just heard of the group that's out, and there are some complaints, but this has nothing to do with us accepting this grant for hazardous pay. When our people go into hazardous place, our sheriff is able to pay them more money because they're entering that environment. And the other thing with the people complaining, people are going to complain anyway, and this doesn't have to do anything with the problems that are out there in the street. Those are problems that we need to address individually or however collectively that group is. But some of it's a rumor and some of them's problems, but they're separate, so we should not be putting them together.
Any other comments?
I do have a comment on this. You know, I was against this in the beginning because it was going to take money out of the sheriff's fund that he has maybe not committed yet, but is probably going to commit before the end of the year. I've never known the sheriff to be under budget because there's just things that come up in the sheriff's department all the time. But this is money that's available to us from the Senate Bill 690. And I found that if we turn down money, it's not coming back to the taxpayers ever. It's going to go to another county and they're just going to get to give their people more money. So it would behoove us to get the money for our people. So that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes. Anyone else?
I'd like to make a comment on this. I'm never against anybody going out and finding some grant money to bring into the county to be able to support us in any kind of way, even when it comes to this hazard pay. But I do have a question. I'm wondering, is there a way, and this is for the sheriff, for the administrator, is there a way that we can encompass any other departments that may be eligible for this funding also? Because I'm just concerned that if we have multiple grants coming out of the same county, it might look bad, but if we could put them together, that would be great. But even if not, I'm still in support of this because there's a hazard for working in this area, especially any kind of corrections, whatever it may be, because COVID could come in any direction anyhow. People have to also remember, even without COVID being in the jail, it's the stress on the officers of contracting the disease, whether inside or outside. So, and I can just say that because, you know, I work around this population and, you know, every day it's a battle, mental battle that we have to go through. But I'm glad that you looked out and found something that you could bring in to support this so that we did not actually give these commissioners and selecting one group above the other.
Can I have another comment, Mr.
Go
Chair?
ahead.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I'm hearing the wisdom of my fellow commissioners and I can support this, but I would very much like the sheriff to really seriously respond to and address some of the problems that the various groups that have concerns about treatment in the jail, that he seriously consider that and not, well, I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you.
I do have one other question, Mr. Commissioner Snyder.
Surely.
Sheriff, this I guess it would be for you. It says here that hazardous pay for all eligible sheriff's office first responders. Would that include jail people? I don't consider them first responders. Do you?
Yes, Commissioner, the corrections officers are in this too. This Senate bill, the law itself, it lists all those individuals that are eligible to receive this stipend. And I wanted to comment for Commissioner Nash so he understands his question about grouping these together to, kind of, I don't want to say get a bigger bang for our buck, but that we're involving more people. I did ask that question if the county was going to be applying for every fire department and police department in Muskegon County, ambulance driver, nurse, whoever. And I was advised through the grant that that's not how it works. Each individual department does it on their own. Like I said, the dollars that are set aside for this, it's first come, first serve. There's a work session on it this week. You had to register for it. I've already done that. And hopefully we can get our application filled out and sent in on time and we make the cut. There's no guarantee.
I would like.
Can I update that request? I was really speaking of our mental health department and our health department.
Well, they may be part of it. You'd have to look at the Senate bill, Commissioner. I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
Commissioner Snyder, I would like to make an amendment to this motion to amend it to say the application, and if we receive it, give him approval to accept it right away so that they're not out of money before we get the opportunity to accept it.
I'll support that.
Discussion?
Yeah. Oh, John, could I ask the sheriff, how much are you hoping to get for each first responder?
It's $1,000 per responder.
Per month?
No, just a one-time stipend.
One time.
One-time grant, as I understand it.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I just had a question. Administrator, if you all look into this as far as the health department and mental health, would we be able to update this to include them? Or would the motion have to stay the way it is?
From my understanding, it is very specific on who receives it. But as the sheriff said, Beth Dick will also be on this call, and if we can find anybody else who it includes. But at the very onset of setting this out from Senate Bill 690, they specifically said who receives it. So unless they open that up, they won't be included. But if any other department can be included in on this, we'll bring that forward. We'll know this before our full board meeting. So I'll be able to update you at our full board meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Good catch, Charles. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Can I issue a point of order?
Sure.
We didn't vote on the amendment.
I think this would be for the amendment.
This is for the amendment?
Yes.
Good.
To amend to accept the grant once granted by the Department of Treasury.
Yes.
Added to the motion.
And accept.
Right.
I was just making sure. Okay.
Okay. Shall I start over on that?
No, continue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No on the amendment.
You skipped me.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no on the amendment.
You skipped me.
I did?
Yep. I'm here.
Well, I didn't start over. You were at the beginning. How about I'll do this one? I'm just going to go right back through them. Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Leering,
We're voting on the amendment again, correct?
Yes.
correct.
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
and Commissioner Snyder.
Yes. The
8
motion
yes,
passes.
1 no.
Motion passes, and with that, we'll move to CPS 20/07-29, the main motion.
But we don't.
We just need a roll call again.
We
Yeah,
just need a
the
roll call, right?
Yep.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Leering,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
9 yes.
The motion passes. You bring up the next one, there's one more. CPS 20/07-30 from the sheriff to approve the sheriff's office applying for the 2020 COPS grant and the COPS
So move.
micro grant. Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Board.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, does this put another sheriff in the school?
No, this will not.
What does this do? It says school resource officer, but I just need that defined.
The intent, as I explained at the review committee meeting, the intent of this grant, I was contacted about 1.5 years ago by one of our local school districts to put a resource officer within their building. This is a school district that has its own law enforcement agency, but they were asking the sheriff's office to do it. We sat down and I ran through the numbers with them and basically showed them what it would cost for this to happen. Independently, they couldn't afford it by themselves, and neither could we. We had that discussion, moved forward with looking at this grant to see if we could help out. I actually plan on what the plan is for to change this grant. I've already called the feds on it, and with contact with our state coordinator, that once we get approved to amend it to cover the staff member we have currently working in the elder abuse task force. So it will not add a person. This pay, as this community program goes, will help cover their wages there for some savings for the county. But we can't amend it till after it gets approved, they said.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I guess I didn't quite understand. So we're using part of this grant money to pay for the officer that handles elder abuse?
That's what not part of. That's what the grant will be geared towards. The school is no longer looking to put a school resource officer in their building, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the loss of revenue and stuff since COVID-19 for this next year. And I just don't want to miss an opportunity for this funding because it'll help us sustain that position that we have and the budget also.
This is confusing. So the grant is to put a school resource officer in a school, but they don't want a school resource officer. And you want to use the money for senior millage position?
If it gets approved. If it doesn't, then we just won't do it. We'll just deny the grant. The grant itself, the Elder Abuse Task Force, this fits that by definition. So as a community program, so there shouldn't be a problem with it. But if there is, then we just won't receive it.
Thank you. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
With great reservations, yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
9 yes.
And that motion passes. Next item on the agenda is old business. Anyone have any old business? Being no one interested, new business.
I have
Any
some
new business?
I have some new business. I'm not sure if it will come under this or not, but yesterday I toured the new marijuana facility, Root Holdings, out on Dangle, and it's really, really nice. It's a state-of-the-art facility, and they asked me to invite any of the county commissioners if they'd like to take a tour out there. They would be happy to take us through there. They don't have any plants in there yet. They just finished it, and it's really something to see if you're interested. So if you are, if you'd let me know, we'll get that together.
Yes, I would, Susie.
Well,
Susie, I would too.
Okay.
Susie,
All right.
Susie, did you feel okay when you left? Did
Yes.
you
I felt really good. I felt really good when I left.
Just don't take Commissioner Skolnick. He may never leave.
That's true.
All right, let's move on. Any new business? Public comment? Anyone with public comment?
Yes.
This is Ann. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
May I go ahead, please?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed that Kathy Moore, our Muskegon Public Health Director, is on the Zoom meeting, and I have a question for her.
We don't do questions at this.
Okay, may I make a comment? Okay, I'll make a comment. I have information, and I hope it's correct, that there were no COVID-19 deaths in Michigan yesterday, July 6th, and I'm just hoping and praying that's true. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final board comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I had a comment that I would like to ask the sheriff if he's familiar with a letter that is going through the community, and how do we handle that? Do you sit down and talk to the group? I heard the initials, but I haven't talked to the
FIST.
Yes, and I don't even know what the letters mean. And I was wondering if anyone has contacted the sheriff, and how would we handle that?
Commissioner, if I may, that email that went out on that, it seems to be a statewide effort as far as the questions go, but that was sent out. It was addressed to the County Board of Commissioners, to our prosecutor, to myself. And they, I'm trying to remember her name. She was, requesting information about, you saw the bulleted pointed lists that were on there from each person, and what our statement was after the murder in Minnesota. I responded to her on each one of those bulleted points, and I gave her what my statement was. So Commissioner Hughes did get a hold of me, and if the commission makes a decision to make a response, that I guess that's on the commission, but I did respond.
Okay, could you send me a copy at least, so I'll know?
I would like it too. I would like a copy as well.
Sounds like it might be worthwhile for all of us to have it.
Yeah.
Sheriff, I'd like to thank you for that. Really, it's up to you to do that. The county board has no control over your office. That we let you handle that, and you're doing a fine job. So I appreciate you taking that up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further?
I just wanted to add on to that. I think that when it comes to those situations, we have to be careful too to make sure that we are not impeding on current investigations that are going on with those situations. So, I would just be careful with the choice of words that we use in a public setting.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Thank
Charles.
you.
Excellent observation. Anyone else?
Did
Seeing none?
oh, wait, sorry, Commissioner Snyder. Did I miss the rest of public comment? This is Jennifer Hodges. I just heard Ms. Derwin go and then you guys just went to board comment.
Sorry, I maybe moved too fast. Go ahead with your public comment.
That's okay. I just kind of wanted to thank you guys for supporting Senate Bill 690 for the sheriff, as all of the local departments that have police and fire are also looking into Senate Bill 690. It's a great opportunity. So the fact that you guys supported it for our sheriff's deputies is amazing. So thank you for that on behalf of the sheriff's department and really everybody in the community, because it really is important for all of our first responders. So, and then I forgot my other one. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I think we can adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. We are adjourned.